This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Spoiler number 1 is Dr. Lee Franz. It stinks.
What is going on? What is going on?
Episode 122, Submission 1410, The Morton Downey Jr. Show. The Morton Downey Jr. Show aired on WWOR New York and in syndication from October 19th, 1987 to September 15th, 1989.
Well, we should mention that it started on WWOR and then it went to nationwide syndication in 1988.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, all right? Do these inalienable rights belong to all of us? Let's consider someone like John Wayne Gacy, a convicted child molester, serial killer of some 30 young guys, who buried them in his crawl space in his house. Does he have the right to the pursuit of happiness? Should he have the right to experience the joy of love in his heart and be visited in prison by his fiancée once a week and maybe once in a while get a little action, huh? The only visitors those 29 boys get are to their grave sites. While their families lay flowers on their sons, Gacy's thinking of laying something else. We've got his girlfriend here tonight, and we'll meet her. Women who love killers, next.
Television syndication, well, weekday television syndication in the 1980s has been, for the most part, with one exception, Donahue, quiet. Nice, calm, and quiet. We had your pablum mix of talk shows, sitcoms, game shows, most of which only lasted for one season. $1 Million Chance of a Lifetime. I'm talking to you.
2 seasons there, buddy.
Oh, my bad.
You're thinking of headline.
Oh, and we're going to talk about that sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I was going to say, you're thinking of headline chasers, Chico.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like most of 1980s syndication shows we're going to be talking about in another show. Hell, we talked about Prime Time Starts at 7:30 block. You all know about that. But in 1987, somebody took a chance and put a chain-smoking loudmouth on late-night television to yell at people for, was it 30 minutes or an hour? I want to say
it was an hour. It was an hour.
Yelling at people for an hour and chain-smoking on television.
Now, it wasn't just an hour. Well, it was an hour, but it wasn't just any random hour. On WWOR or WOR, it was 9 p.m. Prime time. He's yelling and confronting at everybody. And it was a ratings juggernaut. Because I don't know of many shows that make the leap from, say, WOR or WGN or a nationwide superstation to national syndication. The only one that really comes to mind immediately is Starcade, but I think it was on TBS and national syndication concurrently. It didn't start at TBS, then go to nationwide syndication.
You are correct, sir. By the way, interesting story recording that, but that's going to be for another episode. Just saying. But yeah, it started out as this guy who was a disc jockey, Morton Downey Jr. First of all, he was born Sean Morton Downey. His dad was a Morton Downey, so he popped the junior. But yeah, he started out as a DJ in Phoenix, in Miami, Kansas City, San Diego, Seattle, and
Cleveland too. I can tell you,
he was in
Cleveland too.
Yeah, but did he mention a competing DJ's wife and phone number in Cleveland?
Oh my gosh, I don't really know. I mean, knowing him, he could have done anything. He was that irreverent.
He was incredibly irreverent. But in the 80s, he found himself as the host of a syndicated talk radio show in Sacramento on KFBK, and he was fired for being very abrasive, very loud, very in-your-face-ish, and he was replaced, ironically, by Rush Limbaugh. Let that sink in.
And we should actually also mention Morton Downey Jr. wasn't just anybody or a nobody. He did have show business lineage in him. His father, the senior, was a singer, and his mother was Barbara Bennett, and she was an actress. Didn't really do anything. Yeah, she didn't do that much any films I've heard of.
I didn't. Yeah.
But Downey, the senior, was very popular back in like the 20s and 30s. So this goes back quite a bit.
Oh. And, well, his son also tried his hand at the music game. He recorded a song called Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Not the Green Day song. It was the song that was originally recorded by his mother, Constance Bennett was not his mother. He was his aunt.
Oh, Barbara Bennett.
Barbara Bennett. Constance Bennett was Barbara's sister, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he recorded a version of Boulevard of Broken Dreams, the Al Dubin song, not the Green Day song. He also had a song called Green Eyed Girl that peaked at number 95 on the Billboard country charts.
Peaked at 95?
It peaked at 95.
That's not usually a phrase you hear that often when you're talking about a singer. Peaked at 95.
Hey.
That's his singing career in a nutshell. Peaked at 95. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, it was like, hey, you peaked at 95. Good for you. You're never going to make it in this town.
Yeah,
So he moved.
Could have been worse. Could have peaked at 96.
That is true. So ultimately his career finds him in the bustling suburban town of Secaucus, New Jersey, which is known mostly for being 8 miles outside of New York, and also getting a syndicated station due to a workaround of syndication rules at the time. We all remember the famous WWOR workaround, where it's like, okay, we're trying to get a renewal from the FCC, but given that we were owned by RKO General and the FCC really does not like RKO General at the time, it's like, okay, what do we do here? And they found a workaround. WOR found a workaround that said any station willing to move to New Jersey will have their FCC license removed. So they moved to Secaucus. It's like, you found a loophole. Good for you. Morton Downey Jr. also moved to Secaucus. And this is where our story begins. Now, that's pretty much where Morton Downey Jr.'s show began in 1987 in WWOR in Secaucus, New Jersey. And the rest, as they say, is history.
But the thing that Morton Downey Jr. brought, not just to his show, but television in general, was he was very confrontational. And he was not shy at tackling hot button topics. I saw a lot of his show when I was younger. He went like head on with the KKK, with racist groups. Al Sharpton was somebody that he confronted at least once. Taking a look at some of the topics that he covered topics related to LGBTQ issues. He confronted issues regarding American Indians, maybe even the use of that name, since that's now kind of taboo. He confronted homelessness at Christmas time. That was actually a Christmas 1988 topic, was the homeless issues at Christmas time. Kind of timely given when we're releasing this. But also at the same time, he had, let's say, more frivolous types of shows. He had a wrestling show, Greg.
Yes.
And I know you've probably seen it. If not seen it, you've seen parts of it. He had the occasional show about strippers. One that I found, at least pieces and parts of while doing research for the show, was Strippers for God.
What?
My hands are up in the air. I don't know. But yeah, they were strippers for God.
Strippers
They
for
were-
God?
They were stripping for the Lord.
Okay, I get that.
Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord and past the 20s. Anyway.
Yeah, not even joking about that. That was one of the clips that I saw.
I have a great idea. I have a great idea.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
I have a new great idea after hearing this. A church/strip club. You could have the best of both worlds.
Oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God.
Yeah, you could go to confessional right there on site.
Yes!
Right after you hit up the buffet. But you can't hit up the buffet. Social distancing. Anyway.
Yeah, so social distancing, and you can't touch the strippers. Everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can have some big bouncer there. Oh, that's a great idea. I like that, actually. Hey, maybe that's the business idea I need. But also, obviously, at the time, big hot button issues, communism, Russia, how the media here in the United States was presenting the controversy with Russia back in the day. I know there's still controversies nowadays, but remember back in '88, it was still the USSR. It was still the Soviet Union. It wasn't 13 or 14 independent republics and Russia.
Yeah, and this is fresh off the hot button future entry miniseries, America with a K.
So, so as I said, he was very confrontational. He wasn't just confrontational with guests. He was confrontational with audience members. He was, and there's even video of him on YouTube getting confrontational with Howard Stern.
Oh,
The king of all media, for heaven's sakes.
and Howard was on WOR in this time too, I think.
He would have been Saturday nights, possibly.
Yeah, because he was
Okay,
on
but-
up against SNL. Yeah,
But before he went nationwide with on CBS.
yeah, on Westwood One.
Right. So yeah, while he was confrontational with some guests, he had some mainstream guests, kind of, sort of. He had Henny Youngman as a guest.
Henny Youngman? Really?
Take my wife, please.
Oh, that explains it.
Well, no.
I'll be here all week, folks.
I don't remember the episode, what the topic was, but yeah. Oh, let's speak to our special guest here tonight, Henny Youngman. Okay, I knew Henny Youngman was still alive. I think he had another 5 or so years on him. But it's like, really? He's the person that we're going to try and connect with the younger audience? Henny Youngman, take my wife, please?
It's like he didn't have to do much to connect to his audience because, if you remember, he liked to yell a lot at people. He yelled at people he disagreed with. He yelled at people he agreed with.
Oh, he yelled with everybody. Taking a look at more topics here. Doctors versus lawyers. Should the punishment fit the crime? The election year controversy of the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, remember, that was back in '88, so that was Dukakis versus Bush.
Yeah, which is odd when you consider that this aired on a station that had sort of a public service thing at the start of their broadcast day that said, "The Pledge of Allegiance, now more important than ever."
Socialism and housing? Oh, geez, we've only heard enough about socialism this year.
Yeah, we all know that's a buzzword for, well, whatever it's a buzzword for.
Should handguns be banned? Oh, I bet you I know what his reaction would be. Hell no, don't take my rights away from me. He was sort of conservative before you had Rush Limbaugh. Well, Rush Limbaugh would have started around 87, 88 in radio. He would have been cutting his teeth. But yeah, Morton Downey Jr. was the sort of conservative voice before we had Glenn Beck and before we had Rush Limbaugh.
Well, he wasn't really a conservative voice. He was just I think he was paid to be a contrarian.
Well, he had. I don't know if necessarily they were his beliefs, but at least how he came across on television was more conservative, especially if you look at the opening credits. Now, first off, the opening credits I think are great for this show. You see the American flag in the background. You see tanks going. I think they're going to Russia or the Soviet Union or maybe China, and then they're going away from China. And there's a lot of patriotism involved. You see women holding pies, possibly apple pies. He comes across as very conservative, even if not necessarily he was conservative.
Yeah.
But yeah, the opening by itself, oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorite openings from the late 80s. It was basically sort of Monty Python-esque still photography animation, Monty Python-esque still photography animation, if that makes any sense. Do co-ed dorms promote sexual permissiveness? Yes, they're horny 20-year-olds. The rights of prisoners, and actually, I think I saw that one on YouTube because actually, that episode, they had John Wayne Gacy's, don't know if it would have been wife or ex-wife at the time, or no, John Wayne Gacy wouldn't have been executed in '88. It would have been in the '90s. So probably not widow at that point. But they actually had on that episode regarding prisoners' rights, John Wayne Gacy's partner, spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Guardian angels. Oh, my God. Where weren't the guardian angels back in the day? I think they lived in Secaucus, WWOR.
It's very tight.
Were they walking? Were they within driving distance from 9 Broadcast Plaza?
Oh, like I said, they probably had a shed in the back.
And this is very timely, too, since Omnibus actually did an episode on the Guardian Angels recently.
True.
Date rape, police violence. Oh, geez. This is 2020 in a nutshell. Police violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just going through this list. And then taking a look at some of these other topics. They definitely sort of spun off into the Mauries and the Jenny Joneses,
the Jerry Springerses,
the
Richard Bayeses.
The Springers is not as much, just because he's more of a sexual relation slant. Taking a look at this one that I'm peeking at right now, Discipline Camp for Troubled Teens. Again, Jenny Jones and Maury Povich. But he didn't do DNA tests, so I'll give him that because, well, DNA technology really wasn't around in 1988.
I was waiting for Maury.
Yeah. The elderly. I don't know what necessarily it means by the elderly. That's just all I have here. Oh, Greg, I think you're going to like this one. Boxing scandals, specifically Carl Williams discusses plans to beat Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I was kidding. Carl the Truth Williams. They even put a nickname in there. It wasn't Carl Williams. Carl the Truth Williams discusses plans to beat Mike Tyson.
Oh, God. Well, this was actually a show. This was actually an episode that happened.
I'm looking at it. I can even give you the date. July 16th of 1989 in reruns.
he was going to beat Mike Tyson. That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
Especially in 1989, yeah. Because Buster Douglas wouldn't be till 1990, so he was still undefeated at the time.
Mm-hmm.
State-imposed medical care, handicap rights advocates.
Did you mention Mars?
Mars.
They have an episode titled Mars. I can only imagine, since this is the Morton Downey Jr. show, what that was about.
It's got to be about Martians. It can't be about space exploration on Mars. It's not necessarily that highbrow of a show. Now it sounds like we're getting a little bit of Art Bell into the conversation. We're just hitting all the radio and TV personalities today. Speaking of flamboyant radio personalities, boy, who would have been a flamboyant radio personality in 1988?
I could tell you who wouldn't be a flamboyant radio personality in 1988.
Maybe that's where Howard Stern comes into play.
Oh, yeah. It's like Howard Stern, and that's all I can remember. Because if I'm not mistaken, Rick Dees was on the radio, but he was also doing his side gig as a voiceover artist. And and he would also have that talk show thing on ABC.
There, you took the answer right out of my mouth. That's exactly why Rick Dees wouldn't have been on. Oh, geez, this is again another 2020 in a nutshell, or at least
go on.
Or at least it's a 2020-ish topic. Liberal whites versus conservative blacks. I'm just the messenger.
Good night, everybody.
School system or sewer system? The quality decline. Boy, again, sounds sort of timely. Videotape burning. Not flag burning, videotape burning. Flag burning would have been a hot topic of there in that time frame, too. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through all the shows. I mean, I can go through 2 years of TV listings saying what was on that night.
We'd be here forever.
But the thing is, he would go after the controversial topics, and he would not. Oh, he was very confrontational. And I remember this from the WWOR season. The first week of it, he was in the face of several racists, KKK members. Oh, it was controversial.
You want to know something? I was actually doing my own quick research, and the Roy Innes Al Sharpton episode. You know where that was taped?
Was that Harlem?
That was the Apollo, not just at Harlem, the world famous historic Apollo Theater in Harlem.
Whoa!
Yeah, and actually, there's at least the first part of that episode online. And they must have done live music because, or not necessarily live music, they did a different version of the theme song. And that really caught my eye. I can see how that might be a little controversial, but also at the same time bridging the gap.
Well, this is Morton Downey Jr. He is nothing if not bridging the gap. It's like Morton Downey Jr. likes to play up against both sides of the fence. He was just the DGAF kind of guy back before it was cool.
There's plenty of episodes online. And when I say plenty, I'd say there's at least probably 10 to a dozen. And it's a good variety of topics. Like I said, there's shows that were controversial at the time. They confront communism. Online is the aforementioned pro wrestling show, a show about child abuse. I mentioned the rights of prisoners, talking with John Wayne Gacy's spouse. There's a metal show, and I mean heavy metal music.
Heavy metal.
Yes.
Oh,
Hair Nation.
Yeah, because that was the thing in 1989.
In New York in 1989. Actually, was it? Yeah, you know what? New York had its fair share of glam rockers in 1989.
Oh, yeah. Big one for Morton Downey Jr., obviously. Smokers' rights.
Oh, yeah. That talk about hitting close to home there.
Oh, very close to home. White supremacy at the Apollo. There's the episode we were talking about.
Yep.
Or probably the episode that had
Roy Ennis versus Al Sharpton. Roy Ennis decked him one.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But here's the thing. You think that they'd have, that Morton Downey Jr. would have an issue with somebody like Al Sharpton, but he kept inviting him back on the show. So apparently he saw where there is money to be made and or friendship to be brokered between the two.
It's all for the ratings. You know that. You bring back the popular guests for the ratings, and if Al Sharpton stirs the pot a little bit and gets viewers watching, not even talking, just watching, job done. Bounty hunters, kids beauty pageants. Well, there's definitely an episode from Maury and Jenny Jones. Oh my gosh.
That's not going to happen.
The
dangers of kids beauty pageants, that's not going to be a thing soon.
No. We mentioned communism earlier. Ace Frehley apparently was on an episode from Kiss. I'm guessing that's the metal episode.
Probably, yeah.
Kiss really wasn't metal, but that's just my opinion. There's an episode online about slasher movies.
Oh,
okay. So
that would also be a resurgent thing. Because you had after Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which by the way is an underrated sequel.
Yeah, don't tell Brian Sias that inside joke with me.
Inside jokes are the best jokes. Anyway,
you
have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. We'd have Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's either 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or 4. Friday the 13th 6.
And you had, it's 1988. You had Child's Play at that point.
Yeah.
Yep.
88. Friday the 13th would have been at the Jason Takes Manhattan portion.
Okay, so that would be Friday the 13th 8, and also you'd have the sort of made for video type of slasher films. The stuff you would find ultimately at the post Watershed hours on Showtime.
Oh yeah.
We know what you're talking about. And also Central Park Squatters, also controversial, especially at the time.
That seemed to be a problem. You know, homelessness, especially with the aging veteran population in the 1980s, that was a problem in New York City.
Oh, definitely. And now this isn't, I don't know if this is the same episode, but there was a strippers episode. Not strippers for God, just strippers.
Ooh!
Well, you knew it was coming. I apologize. I did, that was the wrong word. I'm sorry.
But good night, everybody!
Oh, jeez. But you can see it went all over the place. I mean, you had some milder topics. You had some very controversial topics. Another one I'm actually looking at right now, Jewish racism. That would obviously be a very big topic, talking about anti-Semitism. So, yeah, this show covered the whole gamut, and it was always entertaining. His big phrase, and this was actually carried over in spoofs. And we're going to talk about spoofs in a second because this show had that much of an impact on society. he loved calling people who he didn't agree with pablum pukers, which is part of the reason why I think he's conservative, because that sounds like something that your Rush Limbaugh might say, or somebody he doesn't agree with who is a liberal. But yeah, there was takeoffs of this show. Most notably, I think, and this was a recurring bit on Letterman, was the Chris Elliott Jr. show. And he did everything like Morton Downey Jr. Same entrance to the show, same, calling people pablum pukers, yelling and cutting people off. But also, especially as time went on, early on, and this is a recurring segment, he wouldn't have as many moles on his face or skin tags. But after like 2 or 3 episodes, he was like covered in skin tags with makeup putty. And at least once, one of them fell off in the middle of the show, and Dave made a comment about it.
Oh, that's something else.
That was absolutely amazing. I'm sorry. I'm stuck in a laugh. Morton Downey Jr. really rode this wave of popularity. He appeared on many shows. I mean, he was on Entertainment Tonight. He was on other talk shows. He was on SNL. He actually, of all places, made an appearance on Church Chat.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy.
And, of course, he was featured in WrestleMania 5 in the famous Piper's Pit segment with Brother Love, where Morton Downey Jr. is just smoking in Rowdy Piper's face throughout the entire thing. And so Roddy Piper pretends like, oh, man, that's so good, there's smoke in my face. Hey, why don't you give me a cigarette? And while his back is turned, he gets a fire extinguisher out from under his stool. And then he says, before his back is turned, give me some of that smoke, will ya? And then he blows the fire extinguisher in his face. Classic.
Does it even miss a beat?
No.
Does not even miss a beat. Of course, it's not necessarily limited to television.
Say it. Take it out of my mouth. That's fine. No, yep. Say it, because I know all three of us know where you're going.
Who here has played Super Mario Brothers 3?
Oh, yeah. Say it!
Morton Koopa Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
The Koopaling!
Yes!
He is immortalized forever in Super Mario Brothers.
He's in the Mario canon forever. Yes,
he is in the Mario canon forever. And you know what? Screw the Boutlerized version. Yeah, I just said that. The Boutlerized version of on Saturday morning where they renamed everything. No. He is Morton Koopa Jr.
Yeah, he'll always be. But you're going to say, well, who knew Miyamoto was such a big fan of Morton Downey Jr.? Remember, this is the same guy who, it's been documented, has an autographed picture of Paul Heyman in his office. Who, by the way, Paul Heyman does appear in the pro wrestling episode over the phone, which, of course, you're doing a pro wrestling episode in 1988 on Morton Downey Jr. Of course you're going to get Paul Heyman for this episode.
Yeah, and I bet you it got all the ratings. And yet, as loud and as abrasive as he is, and as much as he is remembered in the pop culture zeitgeist, he did not get the ratings nationwide that he got in New York City. In fact, it got so bad that the flagship WWOR, it would have been WWOR at the time because they just sold out to Universal. Again, this was before they had to spin off the station to Chris Craft Industries due to regulations at the time, barring foreign companies from owning television stations in the U.S. because Universal was owned by MCA, which was owned at the time by Matsushita Electric out of Japan. So now that I've completely confused everybody, The flagship, WWOR, had to move the show from 9 o'clock to 11:30. And they brought back the $1 Million Movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably the issue with the ratings, because here, it didn't air here till midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was a midnight show, but obviously you're going to get higher ratings and more controversy airing it at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, at least while the kids are awake. You know, okay, we can push it to midnight when the kids should hopefully be asleep. But yeah, I could definitely see why it would only last one season, not just because of ratings, but also, again, maybe too controversial for some stations, especially, again, given some of the topics he covered. But yeah, he lives in history, and thank heavens people 30 plus years ago had VCRs, and there's plenty of episodes on YouTube. I mentioned at least a dozen, if not at least 15 or so.
Yeah. I know when I was living in Arizona, it aired at 11 o'clock on what is now Fox 11. So, of course, you'd go to sleep, leave the television on, go to sleep. Morton Downey Jr. would be on, wake up, and Double Dare would be on. My station was weird like that. Anyway.
What time did they air Double Dare at?
6:30 they aired Double Dare at.
Oh, 6:30 in the morning. Okay, I thought you meant
6:30 in the morning they aired Double Dare.
I thought you meant it was airing at like 4 in the morning or something.
No,
like you took a little, you dozed off while watching Morton Downey Jr.
And then you would wake up at 6:30. Oh, look, Double Dare's on.
Yeah, we didn't have anything anywhere near that weird. We actually had Double Dare at 4:30 in the afternoon.
No, that was Finders Keepers in Arizona.
No, I think 4 o'clock was Finders Keepers. We actually had it back to back. Because we're cool that way.
Anyway,
well, we should also add a couple things about his life. I found some interesting things out about his life. He actually owned an ABA basketball team in the 60s.
Wait, what?
What?
He owned the New Orleans Buccaneers.
Oh.
And he actually was a president and co-founder of a proposed World Baseball Association in 1974, which sort of makes sense. You had the World Football League then. The World League was 1974-75.
The World Football League. The World League was late 80s, early 90s. By the way, that's another entry.
Okay, but that's the WFL, the World Football League.
Which also will be covered on this show.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But also, he did have some radio jobs after the show got canceled. He went back to radio. Yes, he did have some radio jobs. He was in Washington, D.C. in 1992. Then in 93, he showed up in Dallas, and he was still very controversial and very confrontational at this time. But he also moved on, and this is shortly before he died. He was in Cleveland. He was at WTAM here in Cleveland, and his talk show back then was not confrontational. It was a very tame version. It was more traditional talk. And he was on in the evenings. He was on, oh gosh, I want to say it would have been after. It would have been after the sports talk show, the daily sports talk show, which would have been probably like 6 to 10 p.m. So I think he was like 10 to midnight. Probably took you to Art Bell, because I think Art Bell started at midnight at that time, at least here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But that did not last all that long. I want to say at most it lasted 3 months, and it wasn't due to ratings, as far as I know. It was because of cancer. He lost a lung due to cancer right around the time that he started released an album of songs. It was on cassette and CD. Morton Downey Jr. Sings. I don't know how well he sung, but he sang, believe it or not.
If you'll give me a second, I'm sure somebody has it on YouTube.
Oh, you don't need to worry about that, because
we're going
to play eBay Price is Right.
Oh!
And what's up for bids is the CD of Morton Downey Jr. Sings. It was sold on November 6th. Buy it now. And we're not going to do the cassette version. We're going to do the CD, because I think the CD was rare because, again, 1989 technology, everybody had a cassette player. Not many people had a CD player. I'm going to start with Chico. Dollars and cents. What was the purchase price of this Morton Downey Jr. Sings CD?
$7.95. It was the first price that popped into my head, believe it or not.
Okay, Greg?
I will go $9.
Okay. The actual selling price on November 6th of this CD, $22.99.
Yay!
Wow. That is.
But I can definitely tell you, going back to your statement about whether it's on YouTube or not.
I'm looking at it right now.
I was going to say, I know at least several of the songs are on YouTube. I don't know if all the songs are on YouTube.
Well, I know "Hey Mr. Dealer." If you punch up Morton Downey Jr. Sings, "Hey Mr. Dealer" is the first track that pops up. I'm going to take a listen to it right now. Let's see. Come on now.
You're the sleaze bag of the country.
I'm going to put this in the chat here.
Just to welcome you to your eternal promised land.
He's not bad.
No. You can tell he has like some musical talent.
Oh, definitely. Damn.
Okay, so maybe it's not for all audiences.
No, definitely not. I can't wait for this.
Just dropped dead from the drugs you spread. Another cocaine overdose. So take your drugs and shove 'em. We've had our fill of 'em. Long fast people ass is on death row. And your appetite will read. Here lies a man.
He hopes that you die slow, ladies and gentlemen.
We hope that you die slow.
Also, I should add that that song, "Hey There, Mr. Dealer," he performed that on the Arsenio Hall Show. And actually, Arsenio Hall might have been one of the reasons his show got canceled, because he would have started around 88, 89.
Yeah, and frankly, they would, Arsenio Hall did start, 1988, 1989? I know
I believe so.
One of those two. It started on January 3rd, 1989. So it would have run concurrently for the last 6 months of the Morton Downey Jr. show.
Oh, you said June of 1989?
January.
Oh, well, absolutely. I would agree with you there, because Arsenio Hall was the thing, and actually it would have probably run. It would have been closer to 9 months, because Didn't it go off the air September of '89?
Yes, it
Yes.
did. And
So it had 9 months, but still, Arsenio Hall was the late night show of the late '80s and early '90s. Just remember how iconic the Bill Clinton playing the saxophone was.
Oh,
And
but
so-
yes.
And,
Oh,
I
but-
sh- and I should note that Arsenio was syndicated on Channel 9, WWOR.
He probably, yeah. I'm guessing it was the news at 10, followed by Arsenio, followed by the Morton Downey Jr. show.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's just how it would work. I guess if there's anything to be left from this is, and this is from the New York Times article. This is Morton Downey Jr. talking. I am not a talk show host. I am an advocate. Television has a place to lead us. I think television should reflect life's realities and possibilities. I think it was Marshall McLuhan who said that television is a cool medium, as opposed to a hot medium. Well, Marshall, your day is past. Well, judging by by all that came after Morton Downey Jr., I could honestly say he's not wrong.
And one more thing I want to add before we wrap this up. In 2012, there was a movie called Evocateur, the Morton Downey Jr. movie. This aired, I've seen it on CNN. It's been maybe 3 or 4 years now, but it did air on CNN. It was a great movie. Absolutely great movie, especially if you're a big fan of Morton Downey Jr. So definitely seek that out. And actually, I saw, again, while doing research for this, you can watch it on YouTube free with ads. Hey, there's nothing better than free.
Nope. So Morton Downey Jr., you could call him a patriot, you could call him a button pusher, you could call him the progenitor of trash television. You know what else you could call him? A thing on TV.
And one of the really iconic, great things on TV, especially as a one-year wonder for much of the nation, if you didn't have cable and specifically WWR.
Yeah.
Before we go, did you also know there was actually a Morton Downey Jr. home game?
Wait, oh, hold on.
Not necessarily a home game.
Like, yeah, I was about to say, stop the site off. Stop the site off. Mike, you need to talk about this.
Okay, I don't have this, but there was a Morton Downey Jr. board game called Loudmouth. And it actually had his the iconic logo, the mouth wide open. And it didn't say Morton Downey Jr. show on it, but he was on the cover and it said Loudmouth. It was released by Cardinal Games, I do believe, and it was concurrent with the, I believe, the nationwide syndicated release of the show. But there's actually a number of copies on eBay. There was a Morton Downey Jr. home game of sorts. Maybe not home game, but a game related to the TV show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow!
A vegan?
A vegan. I abstain.
Let me hear what she has to say here. Let me hear. Go ahead. You abstain from what?
Yes, I abstain from all animal products,
All
including
animal products.
dairy and clothing.
And clothing. I eat raw hamburger.
And what is your
I eat
cholesterol?
Raw fish. I smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day.
Well, can I say something?
I have about 4 drinks a day. I'm 55 years old, and I look as good as you do, Vic.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Friday on Different Strokes.
They hate me just for the color of my skin.
A racist group threatens to divide a family.
These people have a right to speak.
I don't have to listen to you. You're not my real father anyway.
A very special Different Strokes. Then, on Benson, does Clayton have the right stuff?
I think that scarf has cut off the blood supply to his brain.
Or are the boys headed for a lost weekend?
Why is it so quiet?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Dave.
Does that answer your question?
Benson.
Friday.
Meet Peter Sinclair.
I was a cop too long not to suspect everybody.
He turned in his badge, but he's still after justice.
This time,
We do it my way. Now he works for Alexander Addington.
Hold it!
Counter-Strike on USA. Tonight at 9, 8 Central.
Ellison and Crook. These two scoring machines are what make the Louisville Cardinals fly. But a mid-air collision awaits when the Dayton Flyers look to file away the Cards. Tuesday at 9 on USA's College Basketball 88.
I'm Robert Klein. On my next show, baseball legend Yogi Berra, comedian George Wallace, and shepherd Susanna Davey, who brings pigs.
Tonight at 10 on USA.
All this to watch David Robinson play. Good thing we bought the Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
You two, with the 2 scoops of raisins, come with me.
David Robinson!
I saw you eating Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
You eat this too?
Watch me.
2 scoops of juicy raisins have the taste everyone's sweet on. Kellogg's Raisin Bran, part of this complete breakfast.
With 2 scoops of raisins, you can get the scoop on me and other basketball greats.
College Greats poster cards, 1 free and specially marked boxes of Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
I'm the good-looking one.
There's a place where you can do anything you want to do. It's called college.
What? You left this in our room.
An all-new class of 96, Tuesday.
Mr. Bucket!
That's right. I'm Mr. Bucket. I'm Mr. Bucket. Toss your balls in my top. I'm Mr. Bucket. Out of my mouth I will pop. I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run. I'm Mr. Bucket.
The game's Mr. Bucket. The first to get their balls into Mr. Bucket wins, but look out, because the balls will pop out of his mouth.
I'm Mr. Bucket. The balls pop out of my mouth. I'm Mr. Bucket. A ball is what I'm about. I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run. I'm Mr. Bucket.
Mr. Bucket from Milton Bradley.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. For the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content. Offer tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all these great shows, plus archives of our past podcasts from over the past 8 years as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth search projects, and much more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping. We want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and HistoryOfWrestling.com as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Episode 123, the 2020 Year in Review. The 2020 Year in Review lasted from January 1st of 2020 to December 31st of 2020 for 366 episodes. So before we get started, I just want to give you the home listening audience. I want to tell you our original intentions when we put this in here. We put this on our schedule back in, I'd say probably January, maybe February, well before something called COVID happened. And the original intention of the show was we were going to cover the weird and bad in television, including previous episode, Personal Injury Court. However, that obviously got spun off into its own show. We're still going to cover the weird and the bad, but obviously we do need to talk about how COVID has affected the industry. And also, I'm just going to add this in here. We're not going to cover everything because this is not going to be a 4-hour show. So don't write to us and say, oh, you forgot this. You didn't talk about this. It's going to the trash. It's our show. You want to talk about what you missed in 2020? You go get your own podcast and call it something besides it was a thing on TV. So now with that out of the way, let's start talking about those shows that we mentioned, because there actually were a couple of shows that before COVID hit us, we actually mentioned. We actually put down on the list as, okay, we need to cover this in the 2020 year in review. Maybe not necessarily as an episode proper, but at least in this episode. The first one that comes to mind, and I think this was actually one that I pre-called. I submitted, maybe it was Christmas of 2019 or December of 2019 when I first saw ads for it.
Yeah, it was December of 2019 because it debuted 1 year ago Monday.
So yeah, this was like, I think maybe the first true show to debut in the 2020s, potentially. But it did get a lot of promotion in 2019 around Christmas time, December of 2019. And when I saw the ad for it, I told my colleagues, this is going on the list. I don't care if you override me. There's no way this show lasts more than one season, more than 13 episodes. And what I'm talking about is the Fox TV show Flirty Dancing.
And I'll tell you, can I tell you something, Mike?
Tell me something.
It didn't last 13 episodes. It barely lasted 6.
Well, like I said, it lasted a season, and that's about all I was expecting. And actually, it did. It says it debuted December 29th of 2019. So technically, it started in 2019, but we're putting it in the 2020 year in review show. It did actually. The last episode aired January 25th of 2020. So it got, that would be about 4 weeks.
And here's the thing. It was one of those finales that was basically 2 episodes to run over 2 hours. Because they both aired on January 25th, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a Saturday. And if you're a Fox TV show, actually, if you're a television show in general, and you air on a Saturday, that's it. It's over. And after a really big premiere, if I'm not mistaken, the premiere aired out of football, which would account for the explosion in numbers. And then it moved to its usual spot, which January 1st, 2020 would be a Wednesday. And yeah, it didn't have a leg to stand up on. So it aired on Wednesdays, and it didn't do good on Wednesdays. Didn't have that money slot outside of The Masked Singer that another show that aired in 2020 would. I Could See Your Voice. How you doing? So it died a slow and quiet death on January 25th.
Now, let me ask you this. Did I Can See Your Voice get picked up for another season?
I don't know if I Can See Your Voice got picked up for another season, but I know it got the numbers comparable to The Masked Singer. So if it doesn't get picked up for another season, I would be surprised.
I would be surprised, too. That was actually must-see viewing when I was in the hospital. I used to watch...
I'll tell you something right now. The Masked Singer, I get. I Can See Your Voice, I don't get. I still don't get it.
Oh, boy. There's bits and pieces of it that I don't totally get. And yeah, that's basically what this type of show is going to be. It's going to be like a round table. We're going to go all over the place. We're going to talk about shows that debuted this year, shows that ended this year, television news that happened over the course of this year, and we'll end with in memoriam. We're going to talk about people we've lost this year because gosh knows we've lost important people while we've recorded this show.
Is true. This is true.
It's very true. But yeah, I Can See Your Voice. I think part of it is a bit of an ESP game, but also it almost seems like it's almost like how do I describe it? You're guaranteed to win something.
Unless you decide to go for it in the final round, at which case...
Well, no. I mean, you're guaranteed to get something because I don't see them putting... Well, if you have nothing to risk, can you necessarily risk nothing to go for $100,000 because you have to put up your winnings? So you're going to have at least $10,000 at that point, somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000. So... Yeah, I mean, you're guaranteed money. I mean, whether you take that money or not is your decision. But no, I totally get what you're saying, because especially like the first round is like lip syncing. And okay, how, lip syncing is such a weird art form, even if you're lip syncing your own voice.
Oh,
I mean,
people on
definitely
American
if you're lip sync-
Bandstand used to do that all the time.
Well, I mean, it's definitely weird if you're lip syncing somebody else's voice, but I'm sure it's difficult even if you do your own voice, even though, who knows your mannerisms and your timing best besides yourself? Nobody. But no, I get what you mean, because it's a tough nut to crack. I definitely could see it as an acquired taste.
Yeah, I haven't acquired it yet. Of course, part of it would have to be with Ken Jeong, who he's an impressive comedian. He's an amazing actor. He makes The Masked Singer the Masked Singer.
Oh, he is the most entertaining part of The Masked Singer.
He is the most entertaining part of The Masked Singer. The guy who does not take it at all seriously.
No.
And then, yes, the host, I Can See Your Voice, and he's supposed to take it seriously to an extent.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't.
No.
No, not at all. And definitely it's an acquired taste. Apparently, in my case, you needed to be getting antibiotics for 4 hours a day to acquire that taste. I don't know if it's the antibiotics or the hospitalization speaking, but that was something I watched every night. I was in the hospital for 5 Wednesdays, and I watched it all 5 Wednesdays. Haven't watched it since I got home. There you go. So obviously it was under the drugs and medication that I was on.
Okay, I got a question for you, Mike. I got a question for you, and it might explain why you really enjoyed this show. Did you enjoy Penn Jillette on Identity?
Oh, my.
Because that's basically what I Can See Your Voice is. It was a musical version of Identity.
That's a great comparison. I was
Identity on the list?
Oh, Identity is definitely on the list.
It's been long on the list, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I didn't really care for Identity that much because, I mean, outside of Givens, and when I say Givens, who's the former pro basketball player? Boy, I wonder, could it be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's 7'2", or is it the jockey, whatever jockey is popular nowadays, who's like 5'1"? I don't know who the basketball player is. Who's the former Star Trek cast member? Oh, it couldn't be William Shatner, who's on the TV show just for another paycheck. I don't know who could have been a Star Trek actor. Just saying, you have those givens, but then you're exactly right. It comes down to educated guesses, or if you somehow can, I don't want to even say go into their soul, but yeah, you have to get like subtle hints from what they're wearing, how they're standing. I totally get that. It almost is random at a certain point, but also you don't have any sort of helps on I Can Hear Your Voice.
No.
You don't have the helps that you would have had on Identities, but it's a great comparison. I had to think about that. That was good. Another show we're going to talk about, and this one, it's coming back for a second season, and I can't stand it. Maybe it's because of who's on the TV show.
Oh, boy. Now, this is going to be one where I can take or leave, but go ahead, Mike.
Aquafina is Nora from Queens.
This is to you what Whitney is to me.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a fair comparison, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I saw the first couple shows. I gave it 2 chances, and oh my gosh, it's like the ultimate in like millennial humor in TV. It's like, and I'm not a millennial, so no. Just get rid of it, Comedy Central. Don't give her more attention than she needs.
And yet it managed to attract some really A-list talent. I'm talking B.D. Wong from Law and Order, Jennifer Esposito, Bowen Yang from Fresh Off the Boat. No, Bowen Yang's from SNL.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Hudson Yang. I'm sorry. Harry Shum from Glee, Ming Na from The Mandalorian, which we will get to eventually.
Yeah.
And Natasha Lyonne from Russian Doll. Again. And Laverne Cox, who, let's be honest, needs no introduction.
And it had in the guest spot the guy who's playing Shang-Chi.
Oh, yeah. That guy.
Yeah.
By the way, cannot wait for Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Go to our YouTube page and let's listen to the show we did while you were out, Mike, where we talked about stuff in the MCU at the time that was during the first week of your hospital stay.
But this show was just the latest in a line of shows about famous people back when they were not famous. And that's a trend that will continue because we have Young Rock on the way.
You know, we're not even out of the month of January yet, and I've got 2 more shows I want to talk
Really?
about.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. This is another bad one. And it's already canceled. It got canceled in May. I'm talking about, again, another Fox show, the sitcom Outmatched.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Oh, it was horrible.
Gifted kids are funny.
Gifted kids and gifted kids and dumb parents are funny.
Yeah.
Don't forget, because the kids are all geniuses, but the parents are dopes.
Yeah, this was another one of those adults are stupid sitcoms. But here's the thing. You can have an adults are stupid sitcom, but the kids have to be the lead. Look at It's Your Move. Look at Silver Spoons. Look at everything that David Duclon and or Michael Moy produced. The kids were smart. The adults were dumb. But the kids had the lead. On Outmatched, it was the adults with the lead.
Yeah. Like
that never works.
Okay, counterexample. Michael Moy created Married with Children. Bud Bundy was not the lead, but he was the smart kid. Well, I know Kelly was dumb as a rock, and sometimes Al and Peg were as well, but he was not the lead. QED.
Yeah, but that's a special case.
Yeah, that's a special case because...
now we're throwing asterisks into this. Is that what's going on? Okay.
Exactly.
But also, this is another instance where I pre-called it based on the commercials. It is a submission and true. But also, I should add, Jason Biggs, who we remember from the American Pie movies, he's going to be hitting our TV screens early in 2021, I believe February, when Cherry's Wild, the Wild Cherry Pepsi game show, premieres on Fox.
What the hell is this?
Hold on. Ghost of Jack Barry on line 1.
What the hell is this?
It is. Okay, stop me if you've heard this one, Greg. It's a game show involving a slot machine.
A 30-foot tall slot machine.
Oh, God. Again, Ghost of Jack Barry on line 1.
And hold on, I think Rick Rosner's on line 2 with the Caesar's Challenges slot machine. Don't ask, Greg. It's coming in February.
It's a 60-minute commercial. How could you not enjoy this? It's a 60-minute commercial for Wild Cherry Pepsi. Wild Cherry Pepsi is delicious.
It's no Coke Cherry Zero.
That is true, and it's no Cherry Vanilla Coke, which is, by the way.
Oh, Cherry Vanilla Coke is the bomb. That is the best of the best.
This is true. Hey, Keys, you like the Cherry Vanilla Coke, right? You like the Cherry Vanilla Coke, yeah? She guesses. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And all I think we can say about it at this point, whether it's true or not, is it sounds like Spin the Wheel in terms of like a 30-foot tall slot machine, like the 30-foot tall wheel, just in slot machine form. Yeah. So it sounds like it might be a easy or dumb way to make a ton of money, and we know that Spin the Wheel is dead and buried, gone.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
No, fortunately.
I want Dax Shepard on my TV.
We all know that Spin the Wheel was nothing more than the wall with an axle.
You're darn right it was. It was the spinny wall. You're darn right.
That's why I liked it.
With a host that isn't even in Chris Hardwick's league. I like Dax Shepard, I really do. I think he and Kristen Bell are a cute couple. but do not get him
I
next
agree.
week. But do not get him next to a game show again. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. He was a little stiff, let's say.
Yeah.
Dax Shepard, as far as I know, has never done any alleged activities.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean?
I see exactly.
See what I did?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Hey, you want to talk about, and again, we're still in January, you want to talk about a game show with a host who's stiff? Hot Ones, the game show!
Oh, Hot Ones, the game show.
Yeah.
Is that January?
Well, it's either January or February, but it was earlier this year.
I never saw this.
Let me do the other January entry, and then we'll do that, okay?
Okay. All right.
Boy, 3 down, and we still have one more entry for January.
Oh, jeez. What have you got? What have you got?
And this is unfortunate, and you're going to know why when I say what it is.
What is it?
Nickelodeon's The Crystal Maze.
Oh, it's like, here's the thing. I really liked that show, and it probably would have had a future, except what happens this year happens this year.
Yeah.
Because remember, they did not build a purposely built set in the U.S. They flew all of their contestants to the UK and used their set.
Yeah, they did. And the host was great.
Oh, God.
Adam Conover.
Adam Conover was amazing.
Yeah,
he knew exactly what buttons to push, and he knew exactly how to act for the cameras. This show got a far worse shake than it deserved.
And it got good ratings, too, I saw. Mm-hmm. This is a darn shame. This may be the best show of the year to get canceled after one season. And Adam Conover, in my opinion, is right up there with Richard Ayoade in terms of the sarcasm, the snark.
Definitely.
Definitely. It was absolutely amazing. Maybe it just didn't transfer over to an American audience the way that Nickelodeon wanted it to, but I thought the numbers were good. The show itself was absolutely, like I said, amazing. And I miss it even though it hasn't been a year yet. I wish it was still on TV.
I've said it again. It deserved. It got a better fate than it. No, it got a worse fate than it deserved. It did not deserve the fate that it got.
Absolutely not.
Because I thought Crystal Maze was one of the best game shows to come out of 2020.
And also, I should note when you mention Adam Conover, Mike always likes to talk about all the people from Ohio that are on every show. I just wanted to point it out. Adam Conover, graduate of Shore Wading River High School.
Where's that at?
That's in the North Shore of Long Island.
Oh, I thought it was Ohio the way you're talking there.
No,
okay.
no.
No, hey, Mike always likes to talk about people from Ohio. I want to talk about people from Long Island, damn it.
All right, you got your person from Long Island. And that's January. and we're going to go from one of the best game shows of the year to one of the cringeworthy, depending on how your gastric system handles these things. Hot Ones, the game show.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
That was, excuse the phrase, I saw one episode and it was very tough to swallow. I'm sorry. I don't
get out of my head, Mike.
It was a bad show. It was a painful show to see people in pain after, downing a shot of Carolina Reaper hot sauce. It's for money, but still, that's painful.
And you know what? It's a show that worked for its audience, but again, like I said, it was basically, like you said, I should say, a show that was for its audience, not necessarily for an audience. It had a niche audience, is what I'm trying to say.
It had a YouTube audience, I think, is what you're looking for.
Yep, and the YouTube audience amazingly found the show and watched it.
Yeah, but also at the same time, even now, the Hot Ones series on YouTube is still hot, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
And I get why people watch it, and a number of our friends actually watch it and post links on social media to it. on a semi-frequent basis. And I actually saw Hot Ones for the first time, the web series. It's a
really good show. Of course, I'm a big fan of Binging with Babish. When he did the Hot Ones episode, I watched that one. I was like, that was pretty cool.
And the only Hot Ones I've seen was the one with The Undertaker, and just some of the stuff that he really, after seeing his persona for 30 years, you don't really know the guy behind the mask, if you will. And his was one of the most fascinating things I've seen this year.
Yeah. And also, speaking of WWE, Sasha Banks was on Hot Ones. And by the way, that's how Jon Favreau cast her in The Mandalorian Season 2, was because he saw her on Hot Wings and was on Hot Ones eating wings. And he was like, you know what? I want to cast her for The Mandalorian. And he did.
Well, there must be something with Chicky Nuggies and Chicky Wings that maybe, he made some connection there. I don't know. That's just my theory. What is it with Fox and bad shows this year?
Oh, boy. What do we have now?
Well, now we're going to skip all the way ahead to May. This is a show that sort of originated from a British show called Gogglebox.
Oh, here we go.
I'm talking about Celebrity Watch Party. And I totally get, in the time of COVID, hey, let's watch celebrities watching other TV shows. But I think it's sort of missed the mark here.
Yeah, it was basically, let's watch celebrities watch television. That's basically all you need to know about it.
And some of the shows they watch, oh, surprise, surprise, a Fox show, The Masked Singer. And
a show that does not need any help, by the way. The Masked Singer is a good show with an audience. It doesn't need help.
I got to get this off my chest.
Go ahead.
But one show, and this was specifically on the first show, and I'm sure it was on other shows. I can't. I'm wincing as I say this. Dr. Pimple Popper.
I like Dr. Pimple Popper. Again, a good show with an audience. It doesn't need any help.
Well, but it's on cable. I'll give it that. I'll give it that.
Can I give you another show that was on cable?
Well, hold up. Before I want to mention you talking about The Masked Singer. I hope they were watching the episode of The Masked Singer where Mark Sanchez unmasked and he did a ventriloquist act. That would have been great.
That was one of the good moments from The Masked Singer.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez doing the ventriloquist act. I remember, I'll tell you this story. I was playing HQ. Chico was in the room. I was watching the TV right here. And HQ was going on. And The Masked Singer was on. And I thought I was like hallucinating. I'm like, because my TV was on me. I'm like, am I watching Mark Sanchez do a ventriloquist act?
You were watching. Remember, Mark Sanchez was Baby Alien, and that required him not just to sing, but also to do a ventriloquist act with the Baby Alien singing. And I'll tell you right now, again, if you're a big fan of The Masked Singer, you know that the microphones that the costume singers have, they're props. The real microphone is actually inside the costume.
That takes talent. I got to give Mark Sanchez credit there.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
So he's going to be remembered for two things when he dies. One is doing the ventriloquism on The Masked Singer, and two is, say it with me, the butt fumble. Exactly.
No. He's going to be remembered for beating Peyton Manning and Tom Brady back-to-back weeks. You can try to retcon that NFL. It happened. He beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in back-to-back weeks, and he almost beat Ben Roethlisberger in the AFC title game in 2010.
Okay.
That's not a lie. That's absolutely true.
That all happened. Another thing that happened was because everybody was staying at home, but we still needed content, Enter Food Network with Amy Schumer learns to cook.
Ooh!
Really?
Hey, I like Amy Schumer.
Hey, we all like Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer is a likable person.
And also Amy Schumer is a fellow Long Islander.
I didn't know that Amy Schumer can't cook, but then again, given how rich she probably is, she probably has no reason to cook.
Yeah, she could go like anywhere. She could go like, I don't know. She could go to McDonald's or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she could go to McDonald's, or she could have somebody cook for her. But yeah, Amy Schumer learns to cook. That was a thing. People watched it. People liked it. And is it coming back for another season? I don't know.
Oh, I hope it is.
Okay. Yeah, it was renewed for a second season, and it premiered later this year.
Oh, good. So one thing I want to bring up, guys, and we talked about it briefly at the end of episode 30 in the XFL 2001, the 2020 XFL season that was unfortunately canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
And that was, oh my gosh, we made fun of the 2001 version. The 2020 version was so much better.
It was incredibly. I mean, that was basically football as it was supposed to be.
Yeah, you had kickoffs. Like the way they did the kickoff was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How they didn't rush the kick.
They didn't rush the receiver, and none of this sort of onside kick nonsense.
No. And also, they brought back from the AAF the Skycam.
Yes. Which I've yet to see the NFL use. I mean, you would imagine, because the NFL was taking from lesser leagues to improve its product, they weren't really improving the product this season. They were just basically trying to prove that they could play football in a pandemic.
Yeah, and look how well that's turning out.
Well, they have not canceled a game yet. I'm just saying. Okay, but another show that premiered in May, proving that Fox will try just about anything.
Hello, Who's Your Daddy?
Oh, no, this is the stage in life before Who's Your Daddy. Labor of Love, which is the Bachelorette in which someone was not trying to find just a companion. They were ready to find a father. And what can I say except this? Again, here's the critics. Bizarre and dangerous in gamifying and making a competition out of the creation of life. At this point, I don't know who won. I don't know whatever came of this show. And frankly, I don't think anyone cares.
Exactly. We're just reaching new depths.
Mm-hmm. And apparently so did the ratings, because it started out with a 0.2 rating in the demo, and it ended with a 0.2 rating in the demo. And it started with 890,000 viewers, and it ended with 950,000 viewers. It did not register at all.
Those are bad numbers.
It was barely a blip.
Well, here's one show, and we're into June now. Yeah, we're almost halfway through the year, and this is a show that I haven't personally seen, but I've heard it's good. But also, I heard it's canceled now. The Floor is Lava.
They canceled The Floor is Lava?
Didn't they?
I don't know. All I know is that they taped in an old IKEA an old unused IKEA. And I guess the way they did the show, it would be near impossible to do it again, because they'd have to find another old disused sort of object.
Oh, it isn't like there aren't any unused or dead shopping malls.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a show that it was good for what it was, and that was brain candy. And I don't know if it's canceled or not, but
I thought I heard it's canceled, but I can't verify it.
Okay, well there you go. It wouldn't be the first. It wouldn't be the first time that Netflix prematurely canceled a TV show. Glow.
Yeah. Well, we're going to stay in June for one more because I see a show that premiered in June that I despise, both for its premise, but also for the stars of the show. MTV's Revenge Prank. And this actually has a new season. Well, this actually has a new season coming out in January. So obviously people watched it. And it's hosted by two of the personalities from Jersey Shore. And heavens, I don't watch enough Jersey Shore or Revenge Prank to remember who those two people are.
I'm not gonna wreck my brain trying to figure that one out.
No, it's just, unfortunately, the way I look at it, they're giving more attention to these twits, and they're dumbing down society. I'm sorry. If you like Revenge Prank, knock your socks off. It's not my cup of tea.
Nope.
Especially given the personalities. Let's give the Jersey Shore people who are 10 years past their expiration date, let's give them more attention.
Yeah, I couldn't. No.
Well, okay, let's get past the halfway point of the year with a little bit of a palate cleanser. Cannonball.
Oh, yes. Roxy Diaz and The Miz hosting what looks to be a portable version of Vernon Valley Action Park.
Hey, you know how much I love The Miz.
Yeah, I know how much you love Vernon Valley Action Park.
Yeah.
Well,
which by the way had a documentary on HBO Max this year.
Well, my takeaway, it wasn't good in the original version over in Britain, and they brought it over here. If it's not good overseas, what makes you think it's going to be good over here? Again, just my 2 centavos.
Well, I didn't mind it that much. I thought it was. Well, this was just me talking, wishing that I was at a water park. But yeah, I had no problem with it.
Yeah, I had no problem with it because it had The Miz.
It had Roxy Diaz.
And by the way, Mike, he's Cleveland's own The Miz.
Well, okay, yeah, I was going to say that because you did it for me, and I'll have to do one for you for Long Island. But yeah, he's from Cleveland, and he's had a very interesting year. He was giving away those Browns fridges earlier, the beer fridges, and he spent days doing that. I think he was there at a storefront for like 3 or 4 days, actually selling the victory fridges. If you remember when the Browns got their first victory, yeah. They actually made a bunch of. It was obviously a Bud Light thing. They made a bunch of victory fridges and were selling them for, I think, $300 for a small one and like $600 or $700 for a large one. And he was actually like the salesperson. He was actually on TV promoting it, like, come down to my store and buy a victory fridge. And he actually was like there with Browns players, Myles Garrett for one, and I'm sure Baker Mayfield may have eventually gotten down there, but yeah, he's had a very interesting year, to say the least.
Okay, so another show that premiered in August. We're going to Discovery now, a network that is not known for A, sports coverage, or B, dodgeball. Dodgeball Thunderdome.
Woo!
With David Dobrik and Andrew Hawk Hawkins. And someone on the sideline that I'm not going to even stretch my brain trying to remember.
No, she's not the girl with the big hair from roller games.
No. I didn't stretch my brain to remember her either.
No one did.
But David Dobrik, the internet's David Dobrik, hosting a TV show for Discovery. A dodgeball-themed TV show for Discovery. This was the wrong show at the wrong time on the wrong network. There was just nothing right about this show whatsoever. I can anybody think of anything redeeming about this show?
I haven't seen it yet. That may be the only redeeming thing about it.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's not worth watching.
Oh boy, thanks for scaring me off of it.
Yeah, there you go. And then September came, and you had... Okay, so you remember... Let me tell you a little bit of an industry story. Now, I am not an industry insider, but I do read FTV Live a lot, so... WGN is probably the lead station in the Tribune portfolio. The Tribune portfolio of TV stations was sold to Nexstar, which, by the way, owns the CBS affiliate WNCN in my market.
And in Cleveland, WJW, the Fox affiliate.
They decided to use WGN America as a launching point for a national news broadcast titled News Nation. And they could not have done that any more poorly. You have 3 hours of news. You have 3 hours of news, which by the time it got to air, it would have been really old. And they just did not take any sort of effort to try and update on the big stories of the day. It was just sort of the world tonight. But then they repeated it at midnight with no update on that?
11 p.m.
11?
Yeah, it's 8 to 11, and then they reran the 3 hours from 11 to 2 in the morning.
You know what this reminds me of, News Nation? It sort of reminds me of like a modernized version of the Independent News Network from like the 1980s that was produced out of WPIX in New York, sort of.
Yeah.
And all the content is generated by the other Nexstar stations, I do believe. Because they talk about we have like 300 reporters across the country or across the world, and actually for stories that are generated in Cleveland, they use one of the personalities from the Cleveland affiliate. So, surprise, surprise. # corporate synergy.
Yep. An interesting thing, the studio for News Nation was broadcast out of Studio 3, which used to house Chicagoland Television. But again, that was sort of taken off the air on New Year's Eve, if I'm not mistaken.
But also on top of all that's 6 hours of WGN shows that are gone, like Married with Children. It always goes back to Married with Children.
Yeah, but you could watch Married with Children on any station though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I'm just saying. I mean, they got rid of good reruns. They actually had a new show. This is last year. They had a new version of Dog the Bounty Hunter, where it was very much like the original show, but also because of Dog's wife's health, her cancer situation.
Oh,
they really put a focus on that, and I thought that was a great show. But I don't think that's coming back for a second season, especially after News Nation essentially took reruns of that. Plus, also, I think they did have reruns of Dog the Bounty Hunter too. So that's off WGN too. So yeah, they just I think they basically just cut off their nose in spite of their face. You've got News Nation now on for 6 hours a day, albeit 3 hours and then a rerun of those 3 hours. And they got rid of all their original programming because they're not going to show any of the dramas like Salem that they created. They're not going to air those in the afternoon or even at 7 o'clock at night because they're busy showing, I think, Last Man Standing reruns. So they made a huge sacrifice, giving up some quality shows for News Nation and
And
the best way I can
I've
describe
got the
News Nation.
numbers.
Okay.
Well, what were you gonna say? I want to
Oh,
know
I
how
was
you.
gonna say, the only reason I watch News Nation is to fall asleep while watching TV.
There you go. Okay, so the first month, ratings reached approximately 100,000 viewers a night, which was basically what they were getting with the syndicated programming. And then it fell out to about 54,000.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
The
biggest numbers they got were 218,000, and that was for an interview they did with
that guy.
That guy from that thing? Yeah, that guy.
Is it a certain president who's leaving in 3 weeks?
That would be the guy. That would be the guy.
Fair enough. Okay. I'll also add something related to those numbers. And I'm sure this is not just the local station, WJW I mentioned. They constantly push News Nation every day. They have one of their anchors on giving a preview of what's on News Nation and say, tune into WGN America at 8 p.m. Eastern for News Nation. So you can't say it's not getting enough promotion.
Oh, yeah.
Well, NCN has been mired in third in our market for a while, not for lack of trying, because they actually do put out a decent newscast nowadays. But again, people in the RDU market, they are watching either RAL or ABC. They're not going to switch over to a new product just because there is a new product. They're too set in their ways.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. And I just wonder how soon it's going to be before WGN brings back the reruns, because the numbers clearly say it's not working. And I know they've made a big expense. I mean, they have this giant set. They have flat screen LCD TVs or monitors being used through the newscast. And for ratings of only 50,000 people or 100,000 people,
they're not getting a return on investment back.
Oh, they're absolutely not getting a return on investment. That's why I said I wonder how long it's going to be before they go back to even just reruns. I mean, I understand news is cheaper to produce than scripted television, but unless they're going to try to rerun this throughout the night until 8 a.m, I don't know how they're going to make up their investment. It's absolutely horrible numbers for not a good product. And and I totally understand, why they did it, especially why they launched it when they did in September, because obviously the election cycle was starting to generate. But
they wanted it's like Nexstar. Perry Sook wanted that election dollar, and I'll tell you right now, after the runoff in Georgia, good luck, because you're not going to get that money again.
No,
you're not even getting that money right now. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
Rest in peace, WGN primetime.
Yeah, and also let's remember that News Nation, I think Nexstar's plan is to turn WGN basically into a competitor for Fox News and CNN and OAN and all these other news stations we have out there, because their gimmick is they're not biased. They're like, they just give you the facts. Unlike,
and you know what? That is to be admired. That really is.
It's to be admired, but do we need more news stations? That's just the way I look at it.
No. If anything, we need less news stations.
Yeah. It's like, at this point, you're going like, what's next? It's a news station for pets?
That would be more entertaining than the human news stations. Let's be honest.
Oh, it'd be the most adorable station ever.
It would be the more adorable station. But I'll tell you something. Can I tell you something that would be easily adorable?
What?
Court shows for pets.
Oh, okay, Mike. This is all you.
But which we actually skipped over, because this was back in June, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is over the summer, and We talked about Judge Wapner's Animal Court. I believe it was like episode 8 or thereabouts. It was very early on. Well, we got another contender in the Animal Court ring. Gary Busey's Pet Court. The real name of the show is Gary Busey Pet Judge. We apologize for the inaccuracy. And I'm just going to let Greg laugh because really that's all you need to know. You just need to know Gary Busey's Pet Court. And that's like all I'm going to say.
What makes Gary Busey qualified to make decisions on pets?
After seeing the show, and I'm going to admit, out of the 6 shows that, as far as I know, are up on Amazon Prime, I've seen 4 of them. What makes him qualified for it? Not a damn thing. He is irreverent. It's very scripted.
I'll tell you, I was about to say, this is about as real as Personal Injury Court. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it doesn't have Big D.
Maybe Big D should have a pet so he can be on it. But the verdicts are absolutely ridiculous in terms of what Gary Busey sees as appropriate punishments. It isn't just suing for money. It's there's been some very wacky verdicts. And then when the people leave the court, there's actually somebody playing the Doug Llewellyn position.
Ian Abramson.
Yeah, and he'll say, well, how do you feel about the verdict? And the defendant, we'll say the defendant in this case, will look at him straight in the eye and say, I lost the damn case. How do you think I feel? It's scripted goofiness, but just at face value, the goofiness is absolutely hilarious. Plus, also, it's Gary Busey, for heaven's sakes. He's a little off-kilter as is, and he just brings it to the courtroom setting. I absolutely love it. You know, eventually I'll get to the other 2 episodes, but and we're actually going to do a dedicated episode to this eventually. I don't know when, but it's on the list. But I'm glad you mentioned Gary Busey's Animal Court. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
It's what I'm here for. But yeah, everything else just it hasn't happened, but or it hasn't happened yet, I should say. What else can we talk about? We've talked about Gary Busey's. We talked about everything that happened.
In terms of new shows this year, I think we're in pretty good shape. But I should also add, this is being recorded before The Masked Dancer premieres.
Oh, boy.
I'm sort of in the same boat. Masked Singer, I love. Masked Dancer, it's just basically turned into, what's my line? It's a guessing game as to who's under the mask. There's nothing you can tell from how they dance, most likely.
No.
Yeah. So you're basing it off the clues, the montages they show with the hidden clues. So it's like, what's my line? Why not just bring back What's My Line?
Yeah, why hasn't somebody brought back What's My Line?
Well, remember, 20 years ago, it went to pilot with Harry Anderson, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But that may be an entry we'll put on next year, The Masked Dancer, depending on how that takes off. I wish it the best of luck, but Masked Singer makes sense to me. Masked Dancer, now you're just doing Masked Singer where you might be able to get inflections from the voice. What can you tell from somebody dancing in a costume?
That they have 2 left feet. I don't know.
That's more of what you can take out of it. We've gone through the calendar year of the shows that sort of irritate us or just plain old bad. There's been some events in television this year that really changed the landscape of television. One is all the cop shows are gone after obviously what's happened in Minnesota in May. But you lost Cops reruns, except if you watch Pluto TV. And if you're not watching Pluto TV, why not? But also, the number one show on cable ratings-wise, Live PD, gone.
Yeah.
Just off the air, immediately gone after what happened.
Yeah. What's Dan Abrams going to do now?
He does court cam. He does court cam.
He does court cam, but aside from that, I was just going to say, yeah, you know what else he's going to do? He's going to do? Watch Matt Eisman sweep up his mess with Live Rescue.
That too, absolutely. Yeah, Live Rescue is still on, and also Rescue Cam. But yeah, Dan Abrams has court cam. It's not maybe the best gig, but I'm more worried about what's going to happen with Styx. He's probably back at work in Tulsa.
Oh boy! At least Tom Morris Jr. has a gig as a writer.
True enough. But also, just over this year, some very weird happenings happened. Now, we haven't even talked about Quibi yet.
Oh, yeah. That came and went in a Quibi.
Yeah, but remember, Mike actually, I think, submitted this in May.
Okay.
You're talking about Quibi?
Yeah, Quibi. Yeah.
Oh, I think it was even earlier than that, because didn't it debut in March?
It debuted right at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, so that would have been March. And I think I called that one instantly. I didn't think it would be dead before the end of 2020.
Oh.
But yeah. I didn't think it would last all that long.
No.
Yeah, Quibi is basically your case study in how to piss away billions of dollars in a single season?
Yeah. I mean,
in like 6 months, yeah.
Yeah. When you have Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman involved, you know this is going to lose money.
And it lost a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. The only two good things that came out of Quibi were, first was the whole reenactment of The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was awesome.
And also, I can't talk about Quibi without mentioning the Sam Raimi directed. Was it 50 States of Fear?
Mm-hmm.
With the I think that's what it was called. The one that had the bit with Rachel Brosnan and the golden arm.
Oh boy.
Yep. She didn't want to take her golden arm away, even though it would kill her. No, I don't want to lose my golden arm. Don't let them take my golden arm.
They took the golden arm, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, see, I wouldn't know that because I thought, I won't lie to you, I thought about getting the Quibi, but ultimately I was like, no, I'm good.
You made the right move.
Oh.
Apparently I did. Also,
there were other issues beyond the whole Meg Whitman thing. You couldn't view the Quibi in landscape, I believe.
Yeah, and you couldn't cast it to a television.
Who programmed this or coded this? This is horrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That just irritates me. Somebody didn't code that you could do this in widescreen.
Mike, this is done by Jeffrey Katzenberg. What do you expect?
No, I totally understand that. I get that. But there's simple, basic things you'd think would be included in the app. And one of them is that, number one. Number two, I don't think there was any way to share in terms of sharing, at a specific point in time, if there's a clip you wanted to share with a friend. But also, I know for sure that they didn't allow screen grabbing. So you're highly limited in promoting this. I mean, you can't do what conventional television does, or if you're on Amazon Prime. Well, even Amazon Prime, there's ways you can do screen sharing on that, but it just sort of defeats the purpose. You're creating a network which is built on socialization on promotion, and you totally kill off any way to promote it from an individual standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I just realized that we didn't talk about a recipe for seduction.
No, but we had a whole episode about that.
Yeah, but we should mention that though, because that was really one of the corniest things of the year.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It was so great though.
It was amazing.
Oh, we need to have a sequel next year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the way it ended.
Oh, especially, yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Mario Lopez, we had the Saved by the Bell.
The long-awaited Saved by the Bell reboot, which I've watched half of it. I'm thinking to myself, this is a lot more clever than it deserves credit for.
Yeah, this is basically the movie version of 21 Jump Street version of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, because the 21 Jump Street movie was so incredibly meta and also incredibly brilliant.
Yeah, and it's basically the same way too. This is incredibly meta, the new Saved by the Bell series. And of course, I want to mention, playing the principal in the new Saved by the Bell, the host of America Says, John Michael Higgins.
Yeah.
Well, glad he's getting work.
Yes. Oh, and I'm like, I don't want to spoil it. If you watch the new Saved by the Bell, there's a clever twist with John Michael Higgins' character around episode 8 or 9. And there's this one particular scene that I don't want to spoil, but when you see it, you will mark the F out.
Oh, jeez.
I swear, you will love it. But yeah, the twist they have with his character around episode 8 or 9 is brilliant.
I have yet to get to that episode.
Oh, you're going to love it. Oh, but also, another great thing in television I wanted to mention this year, and me and Chico will talk about it because we'll do a special episode regarding it it was a thing on TV Presents for the Podbean feed. The Mandalorian Season 2 on Disney+.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
I was just going to mention that.
Oh, God. We had more questions. We had a whole lot of answers. And it was just, okay. So, Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams did not have any idea how to do Star Wars sequels.
So Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni decided, you know what, we're going to make sense out of the sequel trilogy. We're going to do this entire second season is going to explain everything that led up to it, basically.
Yeah, they sort of explained how the First Order came to be, and how the sort of the remnants of the Empire. It's like the Jedi Order made the full error of making sure that there was zero remnants of the Empire, and yet there were remnants of the Empire on the outskirts of the galaxy.
Yeah, the New Republic did not do a good job of getting rid of the Empire. No. Oh, and by the way, one thing I want to mention about the second season of Mandalorian, we learned that the Mandalorian needs to keep Baby Yoda away from anything he might eat.
Yeah. Grogu eats a lot in season 2.
All right, let me explain the one scene everyone remembers early in the second season. So the Mandalorian, he takes in this frog lady who has is keeping like a jar full of her eggs.
Oh, God.
A jar. So Baby Yoda, he looks at the eggs, and you think, does he have like this force connection with the eggs? Like what? He's just intensely staring at the eggs. Like he touches the jar with the eggs, and you're thinking, oh, I wonder where this is going. Turns out, he just wants to eat all the eggs.
Yeah.
He just wants to eat the eggs.
That's all he wants to do is eat the eggs.
And then later on, in the 4th episode of season 2, he decides, you know what? I want to eat some blue macaroons.
Blue macaroons. By the way, Babish did do an episode with the blue macaroons, and Jon Favreau was in that episode.
Yeah. And also, fun fact, if you go on Williams and Sonoma's website, you can buy the blue macaroons.
Sorry, that would be the macarons.
Yeah. For $50. $50, you can buy the blue macaroons.
No, I
want to buy that. I don't like macaroons.
I will make the blue macarons for a fraction of that.
Oh, but you know what? It's not the Baby Yoda officially endorsed macaroons.
Are they in the silver Mylar bag?
I hope so. I hope it is. And I hope the image of the box...
I may have to drive up to Durham. I don't know.
I hope the image on the box is the picture, the one scene where Baby Yoda's just holding the macaroons like... which we actually put on the Facebook feed. The picture of Baby Yoda holding the macaroons with his arms up.
Just don't eat more than 6 of them at a time because you will get sick.
You will get sick, is what happened to Baby Yoda in that episode.
Blue vomit all over the place.
Yeah, I bet Aunt Baru's milk makes some great macaroons. That blue milk. I know what you're gonna say, Chico. Greg, go to your room.
Go to your room, Greg.
Yeah. Well, whatever great TV did we have in 2020?
Oh, how could we forget the GOAT, guys? How could the three of us forget the GOAT?
I was going to mention the GOAT. I was going to actually transition to it at the end of the show for 2021 because due to the GOAT, we're getting the chase.
Yeah, the chase is coming back. But not only is it coming back, we're going to have the chase with Ken, Brad, and James.
Oh, yes. That was ratings gold for Jeopardy, and ABC knew to strike when the iron was hot. I don't think we expected the chase, but we're getting the chase back. And if you've seen some of the ads, you've seen some people you know as Jeopardy champs. Good Jeopardy champs.
Friends of ours. Well,
friends of the show, absolutely.
Friends of the show, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you right now, Mike, Michael Rankins, who you've seen in the ads.
Oh, yes.
He is not the only one.
Oh, he's definitely not the only one. You're absolutely right about that.
Another good friend of the show, and another former Jeopardy champion, and not just any of the Jeopardy champion, not just any Jeopardy champion, one of the best of the last 10 years.
But I want to mention about the GOAT tournament. It was amazing how that was the biggest event at the start of the year. It wasn't just, a Jeopardy fan thing. Like even casual people were talking about the GOAT tournament.
Yep.
Like it was an everyday conversation with people outside of the game show fandom world.
Yeah, I talked about it with my coworkers. And I basically sat them down and explained, how they were going to do Jeopardy in 1 hour. I'm like, they're gonna do 2 games in an hour,
and they set it up good. It was like, okay, they're basically doing a tournament of champions final type match, but they're doing at least 7 of them.
Yeah,
or at most 7 of them,
which was perfect. Which was absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm gonna say I'm gonna be quite honest. If I was to take who was most likely to win the GOAT tournament, I would have had James first, Brad second, Ken third. I did not expect Ken was gonna win that tournament.
You didn't expect Ken was gonna win that tournament?
Well, here's the thing. Brad had always had Ken's number in basically every tournament.
Oh, that is true.
And yeah. I figured with James in the mix and knowing how good James was in his run, I figured James was just gonna cruise to victory. But I'll tell you this: I think what helped Ken in this was not only did he have prepare for Brad. He also had to prepare for James, and he knew what James was best at, and that I think helped him immensely in that GOAT tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to take it another way. I didn't think Brad would end up third.
Oh, no one expected that. That was the shocker of the tournament.
Yeah, I would have thought that Brad Butter was going to win one game because he is the tournament king.
Yeah.
Well, what killed him, though, was he kept missing all those daily doubles.
Yep.
I'm going to add one more show to the shows that I absolutely love, especially over the last, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
How can we not talk about the new supermarket sweep?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that new supermarket sweep was amazing. That was absolutely amazing.
That may be the most fun hour of television this year.
And you could tell everybody was having a good time with it. Leslie Jones, the announcer, Neil, the security guard.
Neil, the security guard. He's our version of Gary, the security guard. Oh, my gosh.
And you know how much we love Gary, the security guard.
Yep. Gary, the security guard, for those that are not initiated to the British version, is the British security guard. Another ancillary character on the show.
Yep. And the flower guy, the coffee lady, DC at the countertop.
Oh, even when they restock the shelves at the end of the show, I think that's a brilliant touch. It's the little things. It's the little things.
It is the little things. I'll tell you right now, they did the franchise justice when they put that show on the air. They really did.
Oh, they did a superb job.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to pay our respects both to shows that ended in 2020, but also people that we lost in 2020. And gosh knows we've lost a lot of them.
Kobe, we miss you.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that we miss. Just going in order, not necessarily, we're not going to do all of them, but the big shows. Ray Donovan got canceled in January.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow got canceled, it got ended in January.
Supernatural would be canceled later.
Yeah, and Supernatural was the last show from the WB era that was still on the CW.
Yeah.
Which tells you how crazy it is that show was on the air so long.
The Good Place is gone.
Yeah.
BoJack Horseman. And again, we just are still in January at this point. Mike Tyson Mysteries got canceled. Oh, I love Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Oh, yeah.
Fresh Off the Boat is gone.
Oh, yeah. Love Fresh Off the Boat.
Oh, Fresh Off the Boat was very fun.
And it had Ray Wise on it.
Yeah, it did.
And of course, Ray Wise, was on Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Hawaii Five-0.
Oh yeah. The reboot of Hawaii Five-0. That was 8-9 years.
Yeah, that was let's just say it was the longest show starring Alex O'Loughlin that ever aired. Because Alex O'Loughlin's king of the TV show, the one and done TV shows, it seems like.
And it almost ran as long as the original, because the original went 12 years, 68 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not bad for a reboot. Usually the reboots don't last that long, but the reboot lasted almost a decade, or very close to a decade.
Yeah, and if you look at the other CBS reboots, like MacGyver's in its 4th season, and I think is the Magnum PI reboot in its 3rd season now.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. 2 more shows that got canceled. Wife Swap and Ink Master, both on Paramount Network, partly because Paramount Network is getting rebranded as a movie channel.
What's going to happen to Bart Rescue then?
I have no idea.
Well, I think they'd have to keep Yellowstone on, right? Because that's a big hit for them.
They're going to keep Yellowstone on as an event, sort of.
Okay,
show.
yeah. Because I'm a fan of anything that gives Kevin Costner work.
Oh, definitely. What else?
How can we skip Modern Family?
Oh yeah. That ended, yes.
That ended this year, yeah.
Oh.
Doc McStuffins. It sounds weird to say that, but that was a big show for Disney Junior.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
That made money hand over fist and toys and stuff. Oh yeah, Doc McStuffins is maybe bigger than you think. Empire, another big franchise. I mean, that ran like 5 years?
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
and they were going to spin off the Cookie character, but that fell through. Oh, One Day at a Time, the reboot that lasted 4 seasons.
Yeah, it got canceled for the second time on Pop.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's a show that deserved a better fate than it got. It really is.
Well, aren't they shopping it around? Aren't they shopping?
No, it's done.
Oh
no,
wow!
It's dead in the water. I think just within the last week or so, they said there were no buyers, and it was officially canceled. Yeah, I mean, technically, we could add Cops to the list. I mean, we already talked about Live PD. Cops sort of falls in that same vein, and that's been on the air for over 3 decades. And obviously, we're not going to get into the controversy regarding that.
Thundercats Roar. Yeah, that actually got canceled on December 5th. Thank God.
Well,
How to Get Away with Murder ended. Again, a lot of good shows, a lot of long-running shows, and obviously also when we're talking about ending, we need to add Schitt's Creek to the list. And Schitt's Creek left on a high. Boy, oh boy, did it leave on a high.
It did. It won the Emmy for best comedy, if I'm not mistaken.
It won all the Emmys.
It won all the Emmys.
Yeah, it went out on a high note.
So yeah,
Tosh.0 got canceled.
Oh yeah, that ended.
Steven Universe ended.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of popular stuff. And we did lose, beyond TV shows this year, we did lose a lot of personalities. We're going to go through these in alphabetical order. And again, we're not going to cover everybody. So I humbly apologize if we miss somebody. Going to start off with Orson Bean.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on television back in the 50s. I mean, he was doing To Tell the Truth in the 50s. And actually, he was a regular on The Tonight Show. He appeared on The Tonight Show over 200 times.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of stories to tell Johnny. Another death we had in 2020, a big one, devastating, was Chadwick Boseman. But there is a tie to television, right, Greg?
Yeah, because in upcoming on Disney Plus next year is going to be as part of the Marvel Studios series of shows that they're going to do, which, by the way, I can't wait for, because WandaVision's coming out on January 15th, and we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier in March. So I'm very excited about that. I'm finally ready to start Phase 4 of the MCU, because Lord knows it's been long enough with COVID and everything, pushing everything back. But one series that they are doing for next year is an animated series called What If? So it's basically, Chico, can you explain what If is?
Okay, so there is a character in the Marvel Universe called the Watcher. And one of the things the Watcher does is he likes to imagine scenarios that never happened but probably could. Like, one of the most notable ones I could think of was, what if Spider-Man ended up marrying Mary Jane? Or what if King T'Challa was abducted by Yondu and became Star-Lord instead of Peter Quill?
Yeah, because that's one of the plots that's going to be in season 1 of What If, is what if Yondu, instead of taking Peter Quill and he became Star-Lord, he takes T'Challa as a kid instead. So that's going to be the plot of one of the episodes of season 1. And Chadwick Boseman, before he died, reprised the voice of T'Challa for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Black Jeopardy on SNL back around 2017. The first time I saw it since Chadwick Boseman's passing, I was dying laughing. I saw it in the past, but it's, I think, funnier in retrospect. It was amazing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely amazing.
You want to play a clip of it?
Yeah,
sure.
If I can find one, sure.
Yeah. Here it is.
Let's go to white people for 400.
Okay, let's try it. Your friend Karen brings her potato salad to your cookout. Uh-oh, T'Challa.
I think I'm getting the hang of this. Before I answer, a few questions. This woman, Karen, she is Caucasian, eh?
Yes.
And she has her own recipe for potato salad, eh?
Yeah.
Ah, I understand. It is noble that she would volunteer to cook for everyone. And although I have never had potato salad,
of course,
I sense that this white woman does not season her food.
That's right.
And if she does, it is only with a tiny bit of salt.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And no paprika.
No paprika, no.
And she will probably add something unnecessary like raisins.
I know, right?
So, something tells me that I should say...
Say it!
Oh, hell nah, Karen. Keep your bland-ass potato salad to yourself.
Oh, man! You got it, T'Challa!
Give me this!
Yeah. Black Panther, welcome to Black Jeopardy.
Also, we lost Wilford Brimley this year. Now, obviously, we know him from diabetes commercials.
Oh, yeah.
But let's remember he was also on future installment, Our House.
Our House, and also in future installment, Ewoks: The Battle for Endor.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. We lost Kooky Burns, Ed Burns, 77 Sunset Strip.
And the host of the original Wheel of Fortune pilot. Fun
Yep.
fact.
And if you've never seen it, watch that. Absolutely
Yeah, it is,
atrocious.
to say the very least, entertaining.
And we lost Robert Conrad, who was on Wild Wild West, but also on future installment Black Sheep Squadron, or Baba Black Sheep.
And a spoiler for next year, but he shows up as a celebrity guest in, coming in March, WrestleMania 2. He's a celebrity in the LA portion of WrestleMania 2.
Brian Dennehy.
Oh, yeah, Brian
Dennehy.
Yep.
I know he's big in movies, but he did plenty of television, too.
Yep, and one of his big ones, future installment. Don't know if we're going to cover it in 2021, but Star of the Family, that's on the list, too.
Oh, and he also did that Bobby Knight TV movie for ESPN a couple of years ago. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I totally remember that.
Based on John Feinstein's Season on the Brink.
Right. Kevin Dobson, and if you don't remember him, he was Crocker on Kojak, among other things.
Who loves you, baby?
Oh, now I want a Tootsie Pop. Thank you, Greg. Buck Henry.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, we know him from SNL. He did plenty of hosting appearances in the 70s, but also let's remember, and we mentioned this, I believe, when we talked about shows that ran one season too long, he co-created Get Smart with Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
One of the all-time great comedies.
Yes, multi-talented. Big loss there. Grant Imahara.
Mythbusters, yes.
Mythbusters, but also I think he really changed late-night television with the creation of Jeff Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he did that?
He did that, yeah. You didn't know that?
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Yes, Grant Imahara created Jeff Peterson. We were talking about the Late Show with Craig Ferguson, the robotic sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was Grant Imahara who did that.
I did not know that. I know he did BattleBots, and I know he was one of the hosts of Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody knows he was with Mythbusters, but
yeah,
he's responsible for Jeff Peterson. Yes,
and Don Giller, who we've mentioned, who does all the who compiles all the fantastic clips from Letterman shows over the years. He actually did post when Grant passed away a clip of him on Craig Ferguson, so on his YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, because I think he was on the episode where Jeff Peterson was introduced.
Yes.
It's saying, hey, Grant Imahara did the electronics and the engineering for this, and we got to bring him on. Yeah, absolutely. Tom Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
God, what can we say about Tom Kennedy that hasn't been said already? He was a journeyman game show host, and the fact of the matter is that he made every show that he hosted worthwhile watching. He made it his own. He was just an incredible talent, an incredible dynasty and family of television presenters, and he will be extremely missed.
And he had one of the best voices in television.
He did.
And we talked about it, Break the Bank 76, and oh man, or back in June, and what a job he did on that show.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about at least another one of his shows in the future, to say the least.
To say the least, but also 50 Grand Slam.
Oh, 50 Grand Slam too, absolutely. Yeah, he was absolutely amazing, a consummate professional, if there ever was one.
Yep.
David Lander.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Squiggy.
Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley, obviously. What you didn't know is that he was the voice of one of the toady of the Big Bad on future installment Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. He made he made a career out of voiceover artistry. So
that was Squiggy.
That was Squiggy.
That was Squiggy, yeah.
The bird character, that was Squiggy.
Jim Lehrer. Maybe not a name we'd associate with television because he was on PBS, but definitely a big name.
He was.
Lehrer NewsHour has been on forever. I mean, now it's just the NewsHour, but it had been on for ages.
And of course, a regular fixture at various presidential debates over the years.
Oh yeah, he was Mr. Presidential Debate.
Yes, he was. James Lipton, inside the actor's studio.
Oh.
What is your favorite swear word?
You know what my favorite James Lipton moment ever was?
What's that?
Well, he had Kiefer Sutherland on, and he asked Kiefer Sutherland, "What is your favorite word?" And Kiefer Sutherland said, "It's Latin, gravitas." And it was so. And Howard Stern, no joke, made that like a whole bit, gravitas.
Gravitas.
To the fact where I think Baba Booey named like one of his racehorses Gravitas.
Ken Osmond, Eddie Haskell.
Eddie Haskell.
Eddie Haskell.
Yeah.
Just the way he treated the beaver. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We've talked about him enough this podcast with the Leave It to Beaver week on Match Game Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, but also, and I think I mentioned this at some point too, he was actually a topic on Top Cops back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Because he became a cop after getting out of acting.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, he did.
Yeah, they actually dedicated a whole show to him because he was, I think, in a shooting back in the 80s. And they actually used him, talked with him about the experience. So not just Eddie Haskell.
Yeah, and also we're going to talk about Ken Osmond again next year because he's in the TV movie from 1983, High School USA.
Yep.
Regis Philbin. What can we say? There's probably not much we can say. Regis.
Yeah, we already did an episode talking all about Regis, so if you want to go back in the archives, you can listen to it. But yeah, if there was a Mr. Television, it would be Regis.
It would be Regis, absolutely. Kelly Preston.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she did a number of TV shows. Carl Reiner. I don't even know if I can say anything. He's beyond legend.
He is beyond legendary. He is comedy personified.
And even him and Mel Brooks. There's the second mention of Mel Brooks during this part, and we're not even talking about his passing. They would watch Jeopardy every night. Yeah. And you know he's got to be talking to Trebek right now. Like, you're not going to believe this. Me and Mel Brooks, an absolute legend, but two absolute legends, let's be honest. We're watching your show every night. We go to Mel's house, or maybe it was Carl's house, who knows, but we're watching Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And Alex is a legend himself. Diana Rigg. We mentioned her on The Avengers. Emma Peel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dame Diana Rigg, yes. And also, the only person to ever marry James Bond.
Oh.
In On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the one movie with George Lazenby as Bond.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Okay, that explains it.
It
had to be on His Majesty's Secret Service.
On Her Majesty's
the one with George Lazenby.
But it's universally considered by many critics as one of the best Bond movies, and the ending is such a heartbreaking ending. I won't spoil it if you ever see it on like Pluto and the James Bond channel, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Also, the only Australian to play Bond.
George Lazenby, yes.
Well, I mentioned Trebek. There's one we're going to do before Trebek. Jerry Stiller.
Oh yeah.
Again, another legend. What can't we say about Jerry Stiller?
Yeah, he gave birth. It's like Carl Reiner before him gave birth to a comedy icon himself.
Yeah, and of course his legacy is always on December 23rd every year.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Mm-hmm. I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it.
And actually, I forgot. There's one more before Trebek. Peter Tork of the Monkees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they had a TV show.
I know. I remember Peter Tork was on an episode of California Dreams as the Big Kahuna.
Oh yeah, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was great.
That was really great.
And now we get to Trebek.
Oh.
And I don't know if we can even say anything because we don't want to do him a disservice.
We don't. All I can say is I miss him.
I think we all miss him. I can't even watch the new shows where they have the ending card where it says it's in tribute to Alex Trebek. It's like still just like too soon.
We're getting to the end of a beautiful relationship. It seems like January 4th. I'm going to tell you right now. January 4th is going to be very. Wait a minute. No, January 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. January 8th is going to be very hard for me.
It's going to be hard for a lot of people. And the thing is, I understand why they moved it off of Christmas Day because you'll have a ton of preemptions. But the agony, just extending it 2 more weeks is going to be painful. It really is.
It really is.
But I mean, I don't want to get too soon yet as to who will be the replacement host. But it's going to be very tough whoever gets the gig.
Yeah.
And Ken Jennings has done a number of shows. Ken Jennings has a lot of things going on in his life right now. He's on Masterminds, at least this season, and he's a producer of some sort with Jeopardy, and now he's hosting it for at least a little while. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, nobody will ever be better than Trebek. Absolutely amazing.
You can't. It's like the best thing you could do is like don't try and be Trebek. The best thing you could do is try and be yourself. Jeff Probst knows this. Jeff Probst knows this. Dan Patrick knows this. Bob Bergen knows this. And now you know.
Oh, preach on. You're absolutely right.
One thing I want to mention about Alex before we move on is, okay, if you've only known Alex over the years from Jeopardy, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of other shows he's done. We talked about Double Dare 76. We talked about Pitfall. But I mean, if you have Buzzer, okay, you have to check out Classic Concentration reruns if you have Buzzer.
Definitely.
Because if you only know Alex Trebek from Jeopardy, the Alex Trebek on Classic Concentration is like completely different from the Alex Trebek that hosted Jeopardy.
It's like that was Casual Friday, Alex Trebek.
Oh yeah, it's like super casual Alex Trebek. Plus, also you don't even need to have Buzzer on your TV lineup. You could watch it on Pluto TV. Also, buzzertv.com. That's their website, BUZZRTV.com. And you can watch it live there.
Yep.
But definitely watch it because it's a different side of Alex Trebek. You see him sometimes going off the deep end, which really you did get to see that occasionally on Jeopardy, at least in the later years, where he's a little irreverent.
Oh yeah, especially when he's reading the categories, like Alex Trebek reading rap lyrics.
That's not as good as Johnny Gilbert doing rap lyrics, but it's darn close. They're the two whitest men in television.
Oh, God.
Prove me wrong. When they do rap lyrics, it's absolutely hilarious. It is viral. Well, a couple other names. We're getting near the end of the alphabet. Lyle Wagner, if you remember him from the Carol Burnett show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Wonder Woman.
He was big in the 70s. Oh, this one really hurt me because this guy was he was so versatile. Fred Willard.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There was really nothing that he couldn't do. We're talking from Fernwood Tonight and basically
Best in Show.
Best in Show.
Oh, Wally.
That show that he hosted when he was doing sort of improving, it's like improving other people's lives.
DC Follies?
Yeah, DC Follies, I think is what you're thinking.
Yeah,
of.
I think you're talking about DC Follies.
Oh,
and also don't forget he was Martin Mull's boyfriend on Roseanne.
Oh, also, remember the show VH1's Totally Obsessed that he hosted?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
that's a future entry because oh my god, we have to eventually talk about the one guy who was obsessed with Pac-Man.
Hey now.
Yeah, and also he was. This is early in his career. He was on Get Smart. I think it's just as a guest, but still, I mean that's back in the '60s. And again, showing off his versatility, he hosted, and I think we're going to cover this next year. The What the Blank pilot, the match game pilot for Fox back in like 2004.
We are going to cover that. Oh, I remember the name of the I remember the name of the show that he did for the CW now. No, it's escaping me.
Well, yeah, DC Follies was syndicated. That was not.
No, there was one that he did for CW. It was sort of a thing where he was hosting and everybody was sort of improving his life.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it. Oh shoot.
It's driving me up a tree.
It's going to drive me up a tree until I find the name of it too. We can't forget about A Minute with Stan Hooper. No. Just putting that out there. But no, that's not the name of it. No. Oh gosh. Oh,
this is going to drive me crazy.
Just type Fred Willard CW.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. Fred Willard CW. It was...
Trust Us With Your Life.
Thank you.
I thought that was ABC, not...
No. Well, they did the pilot with ABC, and it ended up on CW. Oh, and another show he did.
No. It was on ABC. I'm looking at the Trust Us With Your Life page.
My bad.
Yes, Trust Us With Your Life. I love that show. And I don't even know if that's on the list or not.
I can look, but I can tell you right now, Modern Family with Fred Willard.
I mean, again, there's so much stuff you can say with Fred Willard. Again, going back to our favorite shows that we like to go back on, he was on Married with Children. Yeah, Fred Willard was on Married with Children. He was a timeshare seller. He was selling timeshares to Peg and Al. That's actually, and oddly enough, who else was on that episode? Ed Kooky Burns. So 2 people from that episode died this year. Don't even ask how Ed Kooky Burns plays into all of it. Just take it at face value.
He played himself, which I didn't know you could do. Anyway.
We have one late edition, and this literally came down the wires as this episode was being edited. Dawn Wells, who you may best know as Marianne from Gilligan's Island, passed earlier today. Today being Wednesday, the 30th. Well, that's just about it for 2020. We know of one show that's definitely going off the air in 2021. We'll just get it out of the way now. We know that Judge Judy is going to the streaming realm, or at least Judge Judy herself is going to the streaming realm. The show Judge Judy is ending in 2021. There's going to be a new show by Judge Judy next year.
Justice with Judge Judy Justice? Or
Judge Judy, I think it's Judge Judy Justice is the name of it. And we didn't even talk about how COVID affected everything.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing maybe it's a good thing we're not getting into that necessarily. It's that we're ending the show at the time we're ending it.
Mm-hmm.
But the one change, at least to COVID, that I've noticed, because my cousin's in the business in terms of a cameraman for sporting events, he used to be able to fly into a sporting event on Thursday for a Saturday night, like a football game. Yeah, Friday they'd set up and whatnot. With COVID, he has to fly in on Tuesday, get a test done once he gets to the hotel, and if he tests negative for COVID, he still has to quarantine for 24 hours. So then his regular cycle of starting work on Thursday begins. It's absolutely bizarre. But, television has... There's been too many changes in television due to COVID.
Yeah.
With social distancing. And even if you watch, again, a callback to Judge Judy, you watch a Judge Judy, or if you watch a Judge Mathis, there's nobody in the courtroom. They even took out the seats out of Judge Judy's set.
Yep.
And there's no handing of documents to Bird or the bailiff or whoever it is. No, you got to put it on a platform with a document camera on it.
Uh-huh.
It's absolutely crazy how COVID has changed everything, and that's just at like the basic level. We're not getting deeper into how there's all the testing and whatnot, and shows have been put on hold. We're not seeing really.
The Supernatural finale, I think, got pushed back to like November because it took a while because they had 2 episodes left to film.
They did. And the Supergirl season finale, they had to cut that short because of the shutdowns too. So if you're a fan of Supergirl, then you'll notice that the season seemed incomplete, but they sort of shot that. And by the way, Supergirl also ending in 2021.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Oh, and also we got to mention how the sports world got affected by COVID, because we talked about how the XFL season was cut short, and obviously
we talk about the bubbles for NHL and NBA.
Oh yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, that was absolutely insane. The NBA bubble was like, I gotta say, out of all the leagues this year, I think the NBA handled COVID the best.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Because everything, if you were watching an NBA game, obviously you knew there weren't fans there, but they did a good job making you just forget that it's being played in an empty building.
So the whole Wall of the World setup had, it was set up with WWE SmackDown.
The WWE Thunderdome, which is great.
And then America's Got Talent pretty much adopted it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And speaking of WWE, I forgot to mention WrestleMania this year was supposed to be in the Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, but obviously because the COVID shutdown happened 3 weeks before WrestleMania, they actually had to tape it at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, and they had to split the event in 2 different nights. And actually, the funny part is, I didn't even mention this because I was going to mention it. We do have on our list 2 cinematically shot matches that are going to be discussed whenever we talk about that WrestleMania, which obviously is the Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. And of course, if you can look at my Zoom background, The Firefly Funhouse match featuring Bray Wyatt and apparently some invisible man.
He means John Cena.
Oh, you mean the guy who's playing Peacemaker?
No, I mean the guy who's hosting Wipeout on TBS with Nicole Byer.
Oh, there's another thing coming in 2021. Yes.
Yes. But I mean, how's Nicole Byer going to do the show when nobody can see her co-host?
I don't know.
Shoulder shrug, yeah.
What can I say except 2020? It was a year on TV.
It was.
And I'll tell you right now, 2021 is also going to be a year on TV. Here's a bit of a preview.
I've read about time with a capital T, but can't say I ever really knew what it meant. However, that night, as I left the old county road and drove into Cresswell, I thought maybe I was beginning to understand.
Who are you? Rick Stedman. You're Rick Stedman? No, you are. Well, that's what I thought. I was going to say, Rick, it's me, Willem Boyd. Right. I didn't think there'd be more than one Rick Stedman.
My philosophy is if you're a man at night, you got to be a man in the morning. So
it's nice to see you.
Oh, my looks like it's raining in Kansas. No, right. Oh, Kansas. Oh, my, that looks like the day after.
Don't be sad, Grace. You do great things.
Sarge National Anthem. Written by Francis Scott Off-Key. Those were last night's lowlights.
Now, you see it. Now you see it. To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else in the leprechaun say yeah?
Okay, number 3.
Number 3, she said. It's a...
His chances are slim right now, and if he doesn't carry Florida, Slim will have left town. You'd have to say this thing is as tight as the rusted lug nuts on a 55 Ford.
We're the Ghostbusters. I'm Spencer. He's Tracy. I'm Kong. We're the Ghostbusters. We're clever, courageous, and strong.
That'll earn you a thumbs up from your gang. And you know, you always hear the smacking of their lips just before we hear the, ooh, it's so good.
These 3 players will compete all this week on TKO.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. With the Mario Brothers, never running a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
Did you get Bonnie Parker? You did. What did you risk? Aha! 2,600, 16,000, the first time ever a 3-way tie. Enjoy the weekend. You'll all be back with us on Monday. No new players next week.
Beans Baxter may look like your typical teenager, but this kid has one of the most dangerous after-school jobs going. I should know. I'm Baxter's boss. The government calls me number 2.
And away!
Oh, thank you and welcome back.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Tony La Russa.
Number 2.
My name is Tony LaRusso.
And number 3.
My name is Tony LaRusso.
What's the matter? Afraid of a little rock stuff? Welcome to show business, moron!
I'm Val Avery, and that's the way it was. These historic minutes are sponsored each night by Shell.
Dan can throw a 16-pound shot put 53 feet 3 inches. Dave can hurl a javelin 236 feet.
Woo! You need a fuel in the bottom protein shot.
6-yard penalty. And it's a handoff to a 2-1, a reverse. Marshall throwing it back, and it's caught for the touchdown. The Orlando special.
And maybe a balloon to the eye.
The sand dunes there were covered with spectators and landlubber newsmen, shortly to become land blubber newsmen, with a blasted blubber beyond all believable bounds.
And I think it's going to be a long time till touchdown brings me round again. Fine, I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no. I'm a rocket man. Rocket man. Burning out his fuse out here alone.
Oh, no! Not the devastating alligator pit!
Spider-Man. Well, you know what, guys? I'll tell you that next year is going to be... Hey, things are going to be better next year. I know.
Things have got to be better next year, right?
Well, things are definitely going to be better after the first month, at least. You all are right. You can't wait for the year to end, but you know what? I'm going to be sad because you know what 2020 gave us?
What's that?
Oh, well, get ready.
I'm ready.
You know what 2020 gave us. It's the thing we'll always remember about this year. Okay. I'm ducking down so you can see the background.
What am I going to remember? Oh! The Four Seasons! Total landscaping.
Four Seasons total landscaping, yeah.
Which is right between a bookstore and a strip club.
A crematorium, silly.
Oh, sorry. It was right between an adult bookstore and a crematorium.
Hey, and it was recreated by VR furries.
Oh, God.
Thank God. The furries came through for us in 2020. They recreated something that's going to be documented in history books forever.
Why? Okay, and on that disappointment, I think it's time to end. Don't forget, we are available. All of our episodes are going to be on itwasathingontv.com. All of our podcasts are available wherever fine podcasts are streamed. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to ring the bell. Oh, God, that was terrible.
Oh, one more thing I should answer. If you're listening to this on New Year's Eve, tomorrow we're posting the second of our 2 Director's Cut episodes from Place to Be Nation. That's going to drop at midnight on New Year's Day. And I'll say it right now. It is the Director's Cut version of the 1980-81 season of Saturday Night Live from episode 97. It's a good show, but we got some extended stuff from some of the, because when we taped that episode, we didn't know that Peacock had all the seasons of SNL up. So I actually have the actual limo for the lame-o bit from Al Franken in that episode. And of course the episode after Gene Dominion got fired, where Al Franken goes on Weekend Update and he goes on an epic rant on Dick Ebersol. That's included in that. So you can listen to that. And Oh, and the famous, at the end, I got a clean version of the Don Pardo saying, "I'm the one who shot Charlie Rocket. I caught him fooling around with my wife."
The lovely Mrs. Don Pardo. I shot her with a .44 Smith & Wesson that I bought from the Spiegel catalog, Chicago 60609.
Man.
Oh, yeah, and we should remember, we said like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, 5 stars only. We don't do this crap for 4 stars or less.
Yeah.
5 stars only.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll be like Don Pardo when he had to eat a cheeseburger at Johnny Rockets.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Malcolm McDowell.
Boy, all this stuff, and we haven't even given them a little teaser as to how we're starting off 2021.
Oh, we are. We're going to start off 2021 with maybe one of the most, I'd say, I don't know how to describe it, the most kind of sort of, when you think of spin-offs that were short-lived, this one is one of the first that's mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good way of phrasing it.
Let's just say Joey was the second one.
And then the second episode, I don't even know how to describe it. It's another short-lived show. Actually, two short-lived shows, or 2 short-lived versions of the same show.
And it's sort of timely, but it wasn't planned to be timely.
No, it wasn't planned on being timely. It just sort of happened.
Yeah, it sort of happened because we actually had to delay this twice.
Yeah, this has actually been pushed back. I think we were originally going to do it, I want to say June of last year, and then we pushed it
last May, and I had to push it back last November because when you were in the hospital, because what was the spot we put Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style in? This was supposed to be in that spot.
Yeah.
Oh, you saved it for me.
We did.
And actually, we're going to talk about one of the pilots to this show, because the pilot is drastically different than one of the versions of this show. But again, we'll cover that early in 2021 in the new year, right here on It Was a Thing on TV. Thank you for listening, and Happy New Year!
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow!
Now it's time to make the switch, right? Okay, let's get rid of 1976, Mark, and let's bring in 1977. Match game 77. Happy New Year! Thank you. That was very gracious. Thank you. Lovely to see you. Happy New Year, one and all. Drive safely, and join us next time, whenever that may be, for Match Game 77. Goodbye.